Hey guys, welcome to episode 7 on how to make a multiplayer survival series arena based game using Unity's Unet system. So the last two videos, part 1 and part 2 on player stats, were very rushed, but the next couple videos will be a lot more drawn out, but hopefully not boring. So I'll explain everything as I go, use pictures. So this is what we'll be working towards in the next couple videos. So this is the inventory system. So we have a couple items already in here. So if you go over them, it gets highlighted. It shows you the name of it. There's the amount and just some random description that I put in. I was too lazy to make one for each one. So you can see the amount here, and here we have the hotbars. So you can just drag over the items to the hotbar and use them. I haven't got a system on how to use them through the keys, but that should take me an hour and we should have that up and running, but we won't be doing that in the next couple of videos. We'll be doing the inventory system, the hotbar, and the crafting system. So the crafting system here is just drag a couple items in and it checks what items you can make with the items in there. So now I can make a saw. If I drag over a stick, I can make a plank. And then if I drag over, I can make a weapon or a sword. This is not the final thing, but these are just systems that I built that I hope you guys can use to make something. So what I thought it would be cool is just have the crafting system built into the inventory system, and you just open it here and it shows you the items that you can make. But this is just a pure visual of what's happening. So yeah, let's get started. So once we're in our scene, we can go ahead and make a script and just call this one inventory. Simple. Spell check. Open it up. Okay, so what we need to do here is we can take away this and maybe this. What we want here is to create our slots that we're going to put our items in. So we have to say how many slots we want. So we'll say int slots x. We want a row of x ones. If I go to here, so we have to tell how many x boxes we want and how many y slots we want. So so this is our x. So if we want 5 boxes, we put in 5 for the, and if we just want it to go 5 down or 3 down or whatever, we'll have to do that here. So this was what we'll be doing with these ints. So as you probably noticed, I am using the GUI system over the built-in Unity UI system because I think it's a lot easier to understand what's happening, and you gain a lot more knowledge doing it this way than just using the already built system. It sounds weird, like, oh, why not just use the built system there? But you're going to be using the Unity engine, so this is good practice to get into. So to use the Unity and the GUI system, sorry, we have to call it through the GUI system. So we can go ahead and create a function, and all this is going to say is draw the inventory. Oops. Alright, so for this, all we have to do is go through a simple for loop for each of the slot X and the slot Y's. So let's go ahead and do that here. Type out for and then just double tap tab. It automatically makes a new one. So here, you'd think we'd do the slot X because I typed it slot X first, but we're going to be using slot Y for the first one. And I'll show you what we're going to be doing. So I'll just type it out here. Another for loop. So we need another for loop within another for loop. And this one will be the slot X. And we just change this. Let's change this one up here to Y. Go and change X. Alright, we just change them all. X and X. Alright, so because we have the for loop like this, I'll show you what's happening in the script. So we're calling the Y slots first. So for each for loop of this, of the Y's, it's going to go through all the for loops of, the loops of the X. So let's say this is 3 and this is 5. So if we go here, so for the Y loop, it's gonna go tick 1 and it'll be 0 because it needs to go through whatever is within the for loop to increase its loop, increase its int value to go into the next loop. So what it's doing in this loop is drawing all the X boxes before going down and making new ones. So right now it's just going to be drawing it all in this one box. So we can get rid of this. All it's doing right now is doing this. So it's just running through and making one single line of the boxes. And here we need to use a rect. If you are unfamiliar with what a rect is, it's not get wrecked, it's rect as in rectangle or just rectangle really. It's just another word for rectangle. So in this, a rect requires a X value, which is the width, runs along the width of your screen, and a Y value, which runs along the height of your screen. For these values, and for most screen values, it draws it, starts from the top left. So if we say 1, it'll go 1x, it'll go 1 here, and 1y, it'll go 1y. So I drew these boxes here, and we'll say this x value is, say, 50, and the y, because it's only 80. So because this is 50 across, 50 units across, and 80 units down, the x value will be 50 and the y value will be 80. And just like any other rectangle, you need a width and a height. So the width being this and the height being this. That's what a rect is. That's all you need to know about a rect. So this is a local variable. We have to give it a name, and we'll just say the slot rect. So because we're filling in slots, we're just going to call it the slot rect. So we're going to be using this rect for our slots, where to position the slots. For here, we'll say this rect is equal to a new rect, and we'll say the x value will be 50. So it starts off 50 from the X, and we'll say this one's 80, and we'll say, because we don't want all the boxes to be on top of each other, we'll have to space them out. So for each X increment, we want to slide over the box to here. So for each X thing, we'll want to move it from here and start the new box here, here, and so on. So to do that, so in here, we'll say, actually we're gonna have to do it here. So our box width will be, just say, let's just start it with 60 and 60, and we'll do the increments here. So for each increment, we want the box to move a certain distance. So because the box will be a width of 60, we want to move it more than that. If you want, you can have them all perfectly next to each other, but it can get really complicated. But I don't know, I mean, complicated could just be hard for the user, the player, to put exactly where they want the item to be. So we give it a little space, really, a little padding on it. So we'll say this one is 65, and we just times it by X. Really simple, because for each X is starting on 0. So let's actually start it. Alright, no, let's keep it like that. So for X, each X increment, so it starts on 0, so it'll start on 0 here, and we'll keep increasing. So the next increment will be 1, so it'll start 65, so it'll be here, and then next one will be 2, so it'll be here, and so on. So let's go ahead and do this for the Y value. We'll make this 65 as well, and increase it at the Y value, and let's just draw a box. So for this, we're going to be calling the GUI.box. So all this is just a simple box. You can format it with skins, but Unity has a default skin for all GUI systems, or GUI elements, sorry. So here it requires a rect to where to start the box. So right now we're not drawing anything. This is just a value that we want to fill in to where we want the box to be. So here, copy and paste this, and we're just going to say nothing. So you can put in textures, strings, or whatever. We're not going to do that right now. All we want to do is see what happens here. And before we can actually test it, to use a GUI element or GUI function, it needs to be called from the function on GUI. So we can work around this, and by doing that, we can say void on GUI, and it should be there if you downloaded Visual Studios with Unity. And all we do here inside of it is call it, and we'll have a boolean. Actually, we'll just say get a boolean to make sure it shows when we want it to show. Boolean show inventory. You can do whatever you want. And we'll say true from the start. So we don't want to change it now. We'll just say true from the start. If show inventory, we want to draw, oops, there we go. We want to draw the inventory. So we can go ahead and test that. Actually, let's close this old one, my test one, And we can go ahead and test it here. If we go into the prefabs, add components, inventory, add, and we need to make these publics. You don't need to make these publics. We can make these serializable fields, but let's just make them publics. And it should show it's compiling. I hit saved, right? Yeah, okay, it's just compiling. Go on, go on. Show. There we go. Alright, so this is started off with 3 X's and 3 Y's, and it should draw 9 squares. So let's press play. And as you can see here, it draws our boxes. This is in the way though, but as you can see behind it, it draws 3 boxes on the X and 3 boxes on the Y. It's doing this because it's going down, because right now we have, oh my god. So we're saying in the script, so for the Y values, we have 3. So for the first one, it goes through this, and it does all of it. So for all of this, there's 3 X's, so it draws the 3 boxes here. And once that's done, it moves down, creates another 3, and again, creates another 3. And that's what we have now. So now we have the inventory. Now we need things to fill it with, like items. So we can go ahead and go back to our game here, create items. Let's just call it item, just call it item, because this is the class, this is the definition of what an item is in our game. So let's go ahead and open it up. Goddamn. Alright. First off, we aren't going to be using mono behavior. So we're not going to be using Unity's functions in here. We're going to be using just pure built-in C# code. So go ahead and remove that, and we can remove these, and we can remove actually just everything here. Here we want to say what we want the item to that can be on the item. So first off, we want a string for the item name. What do you want? A string for the item description. Let's have a item type, and we'll say type. So we're going to use a enum, and if you haven't used an enum before, you go and type enum. And it's, so an enum is just a list of things that, oh, it's not a list, it's more of a set of values or names or members or elements of a certain thing. So in this case, it's item types. So here we'll say we can have a weapon item, a equipment item, consumable maybe, and to end it, you just don't do a comma. So for each element, you do a comma, and you do your next element, and if you want another one, put a comma at the end and do another element. And when you don't have any more elements to put in, just don't put a comma, and it ends itself there. So once we have this, we're definitely adding more to here, but I'm just showing you before the video gets too long what we can do with this. So here we'll say a public, because we want to call it from other places, we'll call this public item. So make sure it's the same name from here, and go ahead and feed it a few parameters. So in this one, you want a string and say name, string description. Oops, how do we have it? And item type. Okay. And here, now we just say item type is equal to name. The item description is equal to description. I'm getting errors. That should be all fine. And item description, item type, sorry, is equal to type. And we're getting an error here, and we have to make this public because it's an enum. It's not a part of the class here. It's just a extra set of rules or information, so we have to make it public so we can call it in here. So once we have this, we can, well, we have an item definition, we have to be able to use it somewhere. So we're not going to be attaching this to anything. We're just going to be using this set of rules of information somewhere else in a different script. So we have to make it a so the whole system is able to use it, and we serialize it so we can use this exact method of information in the other script, in another script. And that script is going to be called our item database. So this is going to be a list of all our items in one single place to keep it organized, so you can add on to it and such. We're going to be working on that in the next video that should be coming out right after this. I'm just cutting it short so it's not too much, so you can go through what I just said. Alright, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.